you hit upon this point, right? So you're saying, let me get my data correct. Fair enough. Bring it into enterprise scale data warehouse, data lakes, whatever you're doing. Uh, what is it that the role of LLM you're trying to play? Are you having that now talk to your data? What kind of use cases are you building where now you have a sound data infrastructure, structured data, and now you have the world of LLMs? How are you merging these two in this new normal?
Yeah, it's a great question. So certainly on the SaaS side, the vendors are doing their jobs to make sure that as they're using AI, LLMs, and so forth against those data sets, they're doing the work around, the guardrails and all the details associated with that. Um, I believe the power that any pharma company has is through the data that it generates itself, as well as the data that it's purchasing, right? And when we think about the power of an LLM, large language model, by nature, its genius is baked into the vast amount of information that it has, and it can generate those insights much more easily than you and I can as a single human being, right? With a limited capacity in terms of how much information we can hold in our brains at any given time. So to me, the power would be is to find ways to connect that enterprise data and allow those LLMs to generate the insights. Then how do you restrict the insights to only those that should see those insights? So there's, data, by nature has to be sort of, separated in terms of the role and what you have access to and so forth. I think that insight, being able to only provide the insights to those colleagues that should have access to that type of data is where we would want to put that filter versus trying to filter the data to the LLM. I almost think of it as the role of our CEO. The role of our CEO is to have access to all of our data, right? Generally speaking, there's very little restriction that the most senior person in our company would have to our data. How do we then use an LLM in many ways, right? That could give that line of sight across all that data, but be able to process that stuff in real time and generate those insights. I think that could be very, very powerful for companies as we move forward in this AI era.